Have you been to the grocery store lately? You might have noticed something different. Empty shelves where your favorite products used to be. And when you do find what you need, chances are the price tag is higher than you remember. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a sign of a much larger problem affecting economies worldwide. We're facing a perfect storm of challenges: global supply chain disruptions, rising inflation, and persistent labor shortages. These factors are converging to create a situation where everyday goods are becoming increasingly scarce and expensive. This isn't just a problem for consumers, it's shaking the foundations of our economy. Businesses are struggling to cope with rising costs and uncertain futures, while consumers are feeling the pinch in their wallets. The question on everyone's mind is, how did we get here, and more importantly, what can we do about it? In this series, we'll delve into the complex web of factors driving this economic turmoil and explore potential solutions for a more stable and prosperous future. We live in a globalized world where products travel thousands of miles through complex supply chains before reaching our local stores. This intricate network is vulnerable to disruptions, as we've seen recently with the COVID-19 pandemic. The Delta variant, for example, caused widespread factory closures and shipping delays, particularly in countries like China, a manufacturing powerhouse for many consumer goods. These delays have had a ripple effect throughout the global supply chain, leading to shortages and price hikes across various industries. Port closures, like the one we saw in Ningbo, China, have further exacerbated the problem. These closures create bottlenecks in the system, causing massive backups of cargo ships and delaying the delivery of goods even further. The war in Ukraine also threw a wrench into the global supply chain, particularly for energy and agricultural products. Russia and Ukraine are major exporters of oil, natural gas, and wheat, and the conflict has disrupted these crucial supply lines, leading to price spikes and shortages worldwide. These events highlight the fragility of our interconnected world and the importance of building more resilient and diversified supply chains to withstand future shocks. Remember the soaring inflation of the 1970s and early 1980s? For those who lived through it, the current economic climate might feel eerily familiar. The U.S. inflation rate has surged to levels not seen in decades, reaching 5.6% in 2024, a stark contrast to the near-zero rates we saw in recent years. This surge in inflation can be attributed to a combination of factors, including the supply chain disruptions we've already discussed, as well as increased consumer demand fueled by government stimulus packages and pent-up savings during the pandemic. While some argue that this inflationary period is transitory, others warn of a more persistent trend, citing factors like rising energy costs, labor shortages, and potential wage price spirals as causes for concern. The Federal Reserve, tasked with keeping inflation in check, is facing a delicate balancing act. Raising interest rates too quickly could stifle economic growth, while waiting too long could allow inflation to become further entrenched. The impact of inflation is being felt acutely in various sectors of the economy, with some of the most dramatic price increases occurring in essential goods like vehicles and food. The automotive industry has been particularly hard hit by the global chip shortage, causing production delays and driving up the cost of both new and used vehicles. In 2023, new car prices saw their most significant jump since 1982. With used car prices skyrocketing even higher. Food prices have also been on an upward trajectory, fueled by a combination of factors, including rising transportation costs, increased demand for agricultural commodities, and extreme weather events impacting crop yields. These price hikes are putting a strain on household budgets, particularly for low-income families. The housing market, already grappling with an affordability crisis, is facing further pressure from rising inflation. As the cost of building materials and labor continues to climb, home prices are reaching new heights, making it increasingly difficult for first-time buyers to enter the market. The ripple effect: how inflation impacts everyone. The consequences of rising inflation extend far beyond the checkout line. As prices continue to climb, consumers are feeling the pinch in their wallets, forcing them to make tough choices about their spending habits. For many, this means cutting back on discretionary expenses like dining out, entertainment, and travel. This decrease in consumer spending can have a ripple effect throughout the economy, impacting businesses and industries reliant on consumer demand. Inflation also erodes the value of savings, particularly for those on fixed incomes or with limited investment options. As the purchasing power of their savings diminishes, retirees and others may struggle to maintain their standard of living. Moreover, rising inflation can create uncertainty and erode consumer confidence, making businesses hesitant to invest and hire, further hindering economic recovery. Help wanted: the labor shortage crisis. Adding fuel to the fire is a persistent labor shortage plaguing various industries. Businesses across the country are struggling to find qualified workers, a problem exacerbated by a confluence of factors, including the Great Resignation. The pandemic led many workers to reevaluate their priorities, with some opting for early retirement or career changes. Lack of affordable childcare. The high cost of childcare prevents many parents, particularly women, from returning to the workforce. Skills gap. The rapid pace of technological advancement has created a demand for workers with specialized skills, often leaving traditional jobs unfilled. This labor shortage has significant implications for the economy. Businesses are forced to raise wages to attract and retain employees, contributing to further inflationary pressures. Additionally, understaffed businesses may struggle to meet consumer demand, leading to reduced output and slower economic growth. Industry in distress: a closer look at struggling sectors. While inflation and labor shortages impact the entire economy, some sectors are feeling the heat more than others. The restaurant industry, already reeling from the pandemic's impact, is facing a perfect storm of challenges, including rising food costs, labor shortages, and supply chain disruptions. These factors have forced many restaurants to raise prices, reduce hours, or even close their doors permanently. Automakers are struggling to keep up with demand as the global chip shortage continues to plague the industry. Production delays and rising material costs have led to a shortage of new vehicles, driving up prices and leaving consumers with limited options. Airlines are grappling with rising fuel costs and labor shortages, forcing them to increase fares, reduce flight schedules, and grapple with operational challenges. These factors are contributing to higher travel costs and a more frustrating travel experience for consumers. The long road to recovery: what the future holds. When will the supply chain stabilize and inflation return to more manageable levels? Experts predict a long and bumpy road to recovery. While some bottlenecks are beginning to ease, the global supply chain remains vulnerable to disruptions, particularly as the pandemic lingers and geopolitical tensions rise. The war in Ukraine, for example, continues to disrupt energy and agricultural markets, contributing to uncertainty and volatility. The Federal Reserve's efforts to tame inflation through interest rate hikes are expected to take time to have a significant impact. In the meantime, consumers and businesses should brace themselves for continued price pressures and economic uncertainty. The labor shortage, driven by demographic shifts and evolving worker expectations, is likely to persist in the long term. Addressing this challenge will require a multifaceted approach, including investments in education and training, affordable childcare solutions, and immigration reform. Brace yourselves. Navigating the uncertain future. The current economic climate is undoubtedly challenging, but understanding the factors at play can help us navigate these uncertain times. As consumers, we can mitigate the impact of inflation by being more mindful of our spending habits, exploring alternative products and services, and negotiating better deals whenever possible. Supporting businesses struggling with labor shortages by being patient and understanding can help ease the burden on these critical economic engines. By staying informed, adapting to changing circumstances, and advocating for policies that promote economic stability and resilience, we can collectively weather this storm and emerge stronger on the other side.